Okay, we only started 13 minutes late this time, guys.
That's fine. That's fine.
All right, let's do it.
We're already doing it. Dolan.
Oh, shit.
Alive.
I found it works better if I just roll.
Yeah, that definitely did.
What we probably, before we get started, should introduce the fourth member of the podcast. We're very excited to have Sam Fels with us.
I can't do this on the podcast. No one will see it, but yeah, all right. You can introduce me at the beginning. Well, that's fine. I like to be announced wherever I go.
Oh, we're on.
Yeah, we're on.
This is us doing this now.
We're doing it now? It's
Yeah,
on?
we're already live.
There's no intro or anything?
Sam, in the upper
We
right,
gave up on that years
there's
ago.
no intro. We should record one intro that has like a lot of like air horns. It's like, oh,
yeah, it says live right there. Well,
tweet it out to all your followers.
Happy to be here. So,
Thanks for
awesome.
joining us, Sam.
Thank you for having me. I am honored and horrified that I've been asked to be on this. So
you bring some credibility to the thing, right?
That can't possibly be true, but thank you for saying it.
I don't know if this podcast could handle any credibility.
I think this is where credibility goes to die.
Yeah, that is true. I used to be a
Curled up in the
respected
corner.
lawyer.
All right, so we're going to do two things different this week.
Differently.
Sam has joined, and we're going to try to give this thing a little structure. Kyle is going to be in charge of getting us in and out of topics. So good luck.
Yeah, a lot of responsibility, newfound responsibility. I think the overarching goal is to get me to actually fucking talk a little bit. So
can I clarify though, Dolan? Kyle is in charge of switching topics, but I'm still in charge of killer segues, right?
Of course.
Thank you.
Only if
And
they're
I'm still in
killer.
charge of, missing them completely.
Well, welcome. Do you want to introduce it as the Desipio, whatever the hell you called it, podcast? The Andy Dolan Podcast Hour featuring Desipio.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. The Andy Dolan Podcast Hour featuring Desipio, brought to you by the Mike Brach Law Firm.
Thank you for the plug. Michael@mbrotlaw.com. Call me with any of your real estate questions.
Yeah. I'm not going to do that, but it's not up to me.
That was probably an ethics violation anyhow. So if
This whole thing's an ethics violation.
well, let's give it a go here. All right. So
We believe in you, Kyle.
Cubs are out in Denver for 3 this week. Won the finale today, and we figured it'd be a good time to bitch about. I'm going to bitch about Coors Field, and Mike's going to tell us what he loves and hates most about Colorado.
Go ahead and get your rant out of the way. Mine's going to be nostalgic, good feeling. I'm a happy guy now, guys.
I've been to that ballpark once. I love the view. Had a great time. I just hate watching baseball games there because it turns the sport into a fucking pinball match. Like any pop fly obviously has a chance to get out, and then they compensated for that by making the outfield absolutely massive. So, you get these Daniel Murphy. Well, I guess it was only a double the other night, but it should have been a triple. If it was anybody normal running, it would have been a triple to the right field corner. So I just get irrationally mad watching those games because it takes what you normally expect and completely turns it on its head because you're playing on the moon.
It kind of is a different game of baseball. It's like when when people try and tell you, you've been playing for like a 12-inch slow pitch league and they're like, fill in for our 16-inch team. And it's like, oh, but that's a different game. That is not the same. And that's kind of what they're doing in Coors Field. Is that a good analogy, Kyle?
That's a very good analogy. And I'm playing on my first 16-inch team this summer, so we'll see how that goes.
Welcome to Chicago.
Thank you,
boy. Oh,
Kyle stole all my thoughts, so I clearly don't need to be here.
No, you need to be here. So, Kyle, so I don't know if you can see this right now, but this one, you're gonna, if you're playing first base, as I assume you're going to, you're gonna start getting 16-inch fingers. It's fun.
Nice! Can't wait for that part.
You probably have bigger hands than I do, though.
Now, by 16-inch fingers, do you mean his fingers will all be 16 inches long?
Yes, they just slowly grow out.
Grow out your nails if you can't get your fingers to grow out.
Good old kielbasa hands.
So I appreciate the rant, Kyle. I'm just going to have a little bit of nostalgia for you guys because I think baseball is a game of nostalgia. So West Coast trips, I know the Rockies are. It's very weird thinking about how what infants the Rockies are in the baseball grand scheme of things. When they said the other day that Bodie grew up rooting for the Rockies, I was like, wait a minute, now we're all old. But there's something about those West Coast trips for the Cubs that there's this very nostalgic feeling in me where it's like it's this feeling of like getting up to stay up late to watch a game, and like there's something cool about the start times, and like you just kind of sit down and are watching baseball till the wee hours sometimes. I kind of like those West Coast trips.
I've had a similar thought in the past, and along those lines, it takes me back to the beginning, the first couple Theo years, the first 3 years, 2012 through 14, when every night you sit down to watch the Cubs, and Cubs Twitter at the time was like 6 people, and 3 of them were tweeting live stats from Javi Baez and Single A,
and Dolan was accounting for 95% of the tweets. Of
exactly.
Instead of 68%,
right?
So these West Coast games take me back to that a little bit, and I certainly don't miss those days, but I guess I miss the sentiment every once in a while.
I feel like the West Coast games were the only times when Hire Jim Essian was actually up, when the shout box should have been viewable to the general public. Like at that time, like that Showtime after hours when Fork.
I remember the shout box.
When Fork was tweeting out pornography, like live tweeting pornography, and that was like a West Coast start time for the shout box.
Well, if it makes you feel better, he's still doing that.
Except now he's in it.
Right. Yeah. Right.
That's
he does it during Vegas Golden Knights games now. So.
He redefines ballroom dancing.
Yes, indeed. Here's another thing that angers me about Coors Field. They start their games at 6:40 local time. Now, I've spent a lot of time in Denver. A very close friend who lives there. No one works in Denver, so I don't know why they need to get these games done early. Like they feel they need to. I mean, I guess the stadium's sort of right downtown, and they figure, oh, people will just walk over. No one is in downtown Denver. I've never seen one live human being in downtown Denver other than in Coors Field, and the one time I was there for Pride Parade. Well, other than that, no one's there. So I don't know why they feel like they have to get their games out of the way early.
Let me play devil's advocate on the other side. Maybe because they're not working. Because like I know a 6:40 start in Chicago would be difficult for a lot of people to make with Chicago traffic and trying to get down. Well, I'm a suburbanite, but trying to get down to the city. But maybe they're assuming because no one's working, they can easily make a 6:40 start.
Maybe. I'll go with you on that. I still think it's weird. Cincinnati was doing it when the Cubs were there this year. So, like, the games were starting at, like, 5:30 here, which was just a very odd time.
That's true.
There's a rhythm to this, and they're screwing it up.
Yeah, I agree.
Well,
Cincinnati just starts their games whenever the fans can get there.
Which is never.
Yeah.
That's to be the Cubs series is the only series of games that they've actually started in Cincinnati this year. Like, oh my God, you guys, we're gonna have to put a game on.
Everything else has been simulated.
So Mike, you'll love this because I'm going to talk about my Twitter feed. But I got crap because I wasn't doing standing ovation police, but they showed the standing ovation Carlos Gonzalez got for his first at bat at Coors, and because there's so many Cub fans there, it looked really dumb because they show the crowd and it's a bunch of Cub fans standing up thanking Carlos for the games he played for the Rockies. I thought maybe the Cub fans could have sat that one out and maybe just politely applauded while the few Rocky fans actually stood up and cheered him. It just looked really strange.
Yeah, I'm not going to apply rules of logic or decency to traveling Cubs fans.
So,
and that probably applies to most traveling fan bases, and the Cubs are just larger.
Yes,
but yeah, that's kind of like the same boat, and not to harp back on where I come from, but like traveling Hawks fans who still cheer during the anthem in other buildings.
Yeah, that's
it's like no, we don't do that here. That's our thing.
Now it's disrespectful.
Yeah.
Why I think Cardinal fans would have known what to do.
Yeah, of course.
So, before we get away from the Rockies, speaking of Cargo, who do you guys have one of those players in your head that has played for the Cubs that you're going to forget played for the Cubs? But then you're like, how could I forget that a player of the caliber of Carlos Gonzalez played for the Cubs, because I mean, Cargo was the hotness for at least a season. Everyone wanted that guy. Like I feel like there's a fair number of Cubs where I'm like, oh man, we had that guy. Why weren't we better?
Does he have to be better than Matt Lawton?
No, Matt Lawton's a fine choice.
Shit, we could probably build a roster out of these guys.
Yeah, I should probably.
I mean, honestly, I wouldn't remember that Cal Daniels played for the Cubs if he hadn't fallen down between third base and home and cost the game.
I forget that Jim Edmonds was a Cub. Maybe I just blocked that out. I have to be reminded.
I'll never be able to forget that.
Yeah. I forgot that he was actually good for them.
Yeah, out of nowhere.
Yeah,
which is what they're hoping to get out of Cargo,
but they won't. Is the thing.
But I think my guy. Not that I would forget, and obviously because I'm bringing it up, I obviously didn't forget. But I think my guy is going to be Carlos Peña. Because Carlos Peña was a pretty damn good baseball player for a while there. And then he was just one of the least memorable Cubs ever, I would say.
I remember Carlos Peña because he was in that dark age where you were still trying to explain to like most Cub fans what was important.
Yeah.
Because like Carlos Peña batted like 194.
Yes.
But his on base was like 340. He just walked and homered, and that was it.
Yeah.
Or struck out. So you're like, no, actually, he's a productive player. And he turned into a very good defensive first baseman.
Yeah. Yep.
But like people are like, oh, this guy's only hitting 190. Send him to but you're like, no, that doesn't really matter, And you're just like, oh, they're never gonna get it. They're never gonna understand.
Well, and he obviously, I think a lot of those guys that played for very bad, I think the reason we remember that Jim Edmonds was a Cub better, and I agree with you, Sam, that he was going to be one of the names that I brought up, but I think the reason a lot of people remember Jim Edmonds because he played for good, they were
good team,
baseball. When Edmonds was like Kyle said, was actually contributing at that time. So, and then Peña, of course, was just in one of the dark ages of Cub baseball, which is most
the overwhelming percentage.
Yes. So that's another. I mean, and then you have to be a guy and obviously be a good player, but like a Castro that's going to stand out in a time like that and be fun to watch. If this team sucked right now, and I was actually thinking of bringing up, and then maybe we should do this next week.
Who would be our favorite Cub right now if they sucked?
No. I was gonna say I suggest maybe we do a little bit of research and do this next week, position by position. I think this team is better than 2016, right? If you just took each position player and each starting pitcher, the bullpen I think is where it falls apart a little bit. But I think this team is better than 2016.
You could debate center field offensively for sure.
Sure.
No, you can't because they don't really get anything out of center field offensively right now.
No, I think that's what Kyle's saying. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't want to open this can of worms unless we want to.
It's close. I mean, position by position, yes, you're right. It's very close, and the rotation is, I think, clearly better.
Yeah. Look at just throw shortstop and catcher out there. Look at the upgrades in those two positions from what they had in 2016.
Yeah. Well, Contreras was there for half the year.
Yeah, but I mean,
he was a rookie. So
yeah, Ross was the star, and even rookie Contreras was very good. But Contreras, I mean, his defensive game has improved significantly. I don't know. I didn't mean to open this can of worms. Throwing it out for next week.
Close the can of worms if you can. Although,
everyone do your research, and that will be my only topic for next week.
Well, one guy who we can definitively say has had a better year than he did in 2016 is my beloved namesake and our large adult son, Kyle Schwarber.
How about Kyle Hendricks? As good as Hendricks was in 2016, he's matured into a.
Well, be a little careful. He did win an ERA title in 16.
I know. And I think Lester's been. Well, I haven't looked at these numbers yet. That's why I just threw it out there. I'm pretty sure Lester's been better this year.
Well, I just looked at
been better.
Hamels and Darvish over Lackey and Hamel.
Yeah, that's where they've improved. Because Lester's not as good this year as he was in 2016.
He was pretty awesome in 2016, I guess.
but he's still good, which we would not have been.
I'm not sure how
convinced of.
Like I'm not
grit.
Yeah, I mean, he really does. Like, he is like the argument for people like, oh, it's about heart and grit. Like, he's it because like the fastball's lower. You know, he can't really hit the spots anymore. He does get hit hard, and yet he just muscles through it. I don't know that I understand it.
Yeah. So anyhow, there's a nice teaser for next week. Let's not talk about it ever again.
It's always good to drop a teaser for next week when your podcast has been going for 7 minutes.
Yes.
I will forget.
And not only that, but tease it, and we won't do it next
week. We won't actually come around again.
You know what? You guys at home, this is the home game for this podcast. Debate it at home. Maybe throw a whiskey glass.
Let's just wait. Let's give them about 5 minutes to debate.
Well, we're going to leave.
Everybody quiet.
That was my attempt at a segue into shorts.
He teed up the namesake, and then Mike took it.
That's true.
Sorry.
So his other namesake, not even Kyle Loesch, but Kyle Schwarber. So for whatever reason, maybe because he has a radio show and he has to say wacky, crazy things, but Cap has doubled down on this idea that Kyle Schwarber sucks. And it's amazing because he picked the worst possible time to make this argument. Because here's Kyle's June. And this is about Cap hasn't been making this argument all of June, but this is Schwarber in June. 295 average, 347 on base, 636 slugging, 983 OPS, 4 homers and 11 RBIs, leading off every time he's played. He's solved that problem. But this is what infuriated me. So Cap does this to stir up an argument because he's got, 3 hours of radio to kill every day, which is fine. But then their other bald moron, Jesse Rogers, comes on.
They have a selection over there.
Yes. And he comes on, and it's Yurko and what's his name? The guy who never will make a definitive statement about anything.
Brett Taylor.
Carmen. Carm says, hey, Schwarber's doing pretty good. He's red hot. And Jesse goes, well, he was 1 for 5 last night.
Jesus.
With a homer. So in fact, in his bad night, he hit a home run. But Jesse still got mad. Anyway, here's the stat that I found very interesting as I was looking up his June. This is Kyle's split this year against lefties. For his career, he's a 196, 311, 336 batter against lefties. But in wonderful 2019, 270, 356, 486, 842.
Holy shit.
That's pretty good.
So he's no longer a liability in left field. He's no longer a liability against left-handed pitchers. But let's just keep saying that he's an American League part-time player. So
here's what you do. Shift him to center. Teach him to play center field. Put Brian out in left. Shift Baez over to third. Slide our old boy Addison Russell back into short. You guys are solid. Or I guess you could move Bodie over. Put Addison into second.
I don't know. Could they handle the speed upgrade in center?
I'm not sure that they could. I do remember when it was after 2015 when they weren't clear what they were going to do in free agency and all that they thought about Bryant in center. They're like, could we do this full time? Because they did it a few times. In the 15 season, he would like shift out there and double shifts or late in games or whatever. And they would play him in the outfield a lot. And it's like, well, he's fast. Maybe he could do this, They're
like, yeah, Bryant in center, Travis Wood in left field.
Which would have been fun. It would have been a cute experiment for about 2 weeks. It would have been like Alfonso Soriano in center.
That was a cute experiment for those couple of years.
It almost kind of it didn't almost work. But it was, nice try.
Go ahead.
I have loved and defended Kyle Schwarber dearly from the time he got called up. So this has been a happy couple weeks here now. People don't understand. He is so close to being an insanely valuable player. Like if he one more single per week, and I know that's not the great's
that's a legitimate
stat, but it is.
Like you Crash Davis.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
There's between a 250 and a 270 hitter.
Yeah, I mean, I'm as big a Kyle Schwarber fan as you guys. I don't know that he was handled correctly because they put him in the leadoff spot 2 years ago, right? It was 17 when they first tried this.
Yep.
And he was still walking a lot, and his at-bats were good. He just wasn't getting a lot of luck. He was striking out a lot, but he was walking a lot. And he was doing everything they told him to do, like take a lot of pitches, work at bats. And then they got a month and a half into it, and he hadn't quite hit yet. They're like, well, this isn't working. It's like, well, yeah, but this season started the exact same way. He gets in the leadoff spot. He takes a lot of pitches. His at-bats are good. Isn't quite getting the results. But this time they're like, oh, we're going to actually stick it out. And now they're getting this. And it's just like, well, maybe if you just stuck it out before, we wouldn't have had to do this for a year and a half.
I do also think it helps this year that they kind of let it happen organically. Like they put him there and it worked and they kept him there, as opposed to before 17, we got 3 months of Joe Maddon telling us how, and I'm not a Joe Ripper by any means, but we got 3 months of him saying how great Schwarber, how great Schwarb's in the leadoff spot was going to be. So I think there's something to that too. But
I mean, yeah, he sort of earned his way up there because he was hitting 7th or whatever and had a grade on base and his at-bats were good. So they're like, well, he's the best candidate now, so we're going to try it. We're going to do this.
Yeah, and the timing was low risk because at the time they moved him there, they had a 296 on base average in the leadoff spot. So everybody who had played there had been terrible. So he wasn't going to be worse. And now that he's proven he's better, it kind of ended that argument that he shouldn't be there.
And as silly as it sounds, the Dexter Fowler shadow is less now because after 17, you're coming out of that, and everyone remembers how good Fowler was, which he was never ever going to be as good as that again.
Right.
Like you got 2 free agent years out of Fowler because the Orioles are idiots.
Yeah.
And so then it's like, well, he's not comparing to what we had last year. Well, yeah, well, the guy's not here and we don't have anyone else. But now we've sat through 2 seasons of not really having a leadoff guy. So I think people are a little more accepting of, well, this one's pretty good. We don't have to compare him to something that happened 3 years ago. I get it. It's the 85 Bears syndrome, and that's going to be the case until they win again. So fair enough. But
yeah, I feel like, yes, of course, Dexter. Doesn't it seem like the Cubs are always struggling with figuring out what a leadoff hitter should do? Most
of my life.
Yeah.
So it was like Denier and then Fowler. I don't really remember anyone in between. Kenny Lofton for those 2 months, right?
Yeah. Glanville.
No.
Probably didn't lead off much.
and I bet if I went and looked back at Lofton's and Grenzlonek's actual numbers from 2003, you'd be like, this isn't actually that good.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. I feel like they don't really know what it does, except that you have to be either a center fielder or a second baseman, dude.
Yeah, I mean, Dusty's got the formula. Your center fielder leads off, your second baseman bats second. I mean, the lineup makes it
bats third, yeah.
Right. And then Hank Aaron bats cleanup.
But the Schwarber thing, this maybe leads back to, I think we talked about it last week or the week before, which no one listened to, but just rank your guys in order and just hit them that way.
I'm all for it.
They're kind of close to that.
They're almost there, really. With
Bryant
up
Rizzo
there.
Baez part, that is 1, 2, 3. And it's nice having Kyle bat lead off because when the lineup rolls around, instead of having if somebody at the bottom of the lineup gets on a normal team, you've got the pitcher and then some slappy.
Yeah.
For the Cubs, all of a sudden, first you got Cole Hamels.
You got power.
And then you get Schwarber.
And I will say, I think Maddon's getting to this with Schwarber's recent hot streak. And all of my problems with Joe Maddon, just for the record, are all off the field, really.
Damn you.
But
who is this guy again?
He's pitching. He's batting his pitcher 8th, which gives you another hitter at 9. Because why wouldn't you want Schwarber following someone who actually might get on base?
Yeah.
And the past few games he's done that, which I really like. And that was the point of batting your best hitter second, and your really good hitter first. 1 through 3 being instead of 4, and moving your hitter up to 8, you get someone else in front of him. And I think we'll probably see it more often as long as Schwarber's hitting.
I think the only thing about essentially ranking them in the order that they can hit and putting them in that lineup is I feel like that's like when you were in grade school and they would hand out your tests in the order of how well you did on the test.
They did that to you?
And so you know if like you were early on, like you were at the low end or the high end, however your teachers did it. So like it'd be awkward for Maddon.
What kind of sadistic fucking grade school did you go to? What the hell is that?
Catholic school.
That's how the nuns were stacking the papers.
No wonder.
So but Maddon, it's got to lead to some awkward locker room conversations. If Rizzo's like, "Why am I hitting second today, Skip?" It's like, "Oh."
I'm thinking those conversations are awkward anyway. You know, it's a baseball clubhouse. Everybody's naked and drunk, and you know,
spraying things at each other.
Yeah.
Why do you think he was texting the lineup out? to avoid that. That's why
he wasn't even at the game.
He leaves early.
Yeah,
he gets in the RV in the 5th inning, and he just drives around.
Well,
he's got to go check. He's got to check the restaurant.
With this bullpen, I wouldn't blame him. Like, all right, I'm out of here. I don't need to see this part.
Is it my duty as a rabid Maddon defender to dig into Sam's off-field beefs with Joe Maddon right now, or is this just?
The only beef I have is he talks a lot and he doesn't really have anything to say.
That's the
whole point of this podcast. What do you?
That's our job. Fair enough, but like it doesn't have to be his job.
You don't like the pseudo-intellectualism?
Well, the difference is we will tell you we have nothing to say and we're wasting your time. See, he thinks he's actually giving you nuggets.
Right. So he thinks that though.
Joe is convinced he's
fuck with the media a little bit.
He absolutely does, and I think that's the biggest thing. I've always thought it's all fucking calculated with that guy. He knows what he's doing. He knows when he goes and says dumb shit in front of the media, the attention's on him. The attention's off his players, and I think that's his entire point for it.
Fair, and I think some of it is to entertain himself.
Yes.
Yeah. He talks to the media. He has talked to him twice a day, and think about who he has to talk to. He has to talk to Jesse.
I get you there.
He has to talk to Gordon.
Sullivan, right? Well, Sullivan's not on the beat, so I guess. And so
I think part of it is, you know how
Dolan Maddon is the coolest guy in that room at those press conferences.
By far,
quite a bit.
He's the coolest guy in that room, unless Baez is standing next to him.
But think about how, like, what's our biggest beef with Ryan Dempster? It's the whole he thinks he's hilarious, and the reason he thinks he's hilarious is because sports writers laugh at everything. If a baseball player says it and it's remotely funny, they act like it's the funniest thing ever. I guarantee you, it's the same with Joe. If he makes a semi-coherent point, they act like he's Aristotle, and they're like, "Whoa, listen to this! The pearls are falling." Yeah. But I think there's always been a method to the madness, especially when he first got here and he had a young team. The more he talked to the media, the less they had to, they could just kind of do their shit and get their stuff and do whatever,
transcribe everything.
Some of them, I would think, at some point got tired of it because they're like, I'm good, and I would like to be more visible, But actually, I guess athletes now, they don't give a shit about the media. They've got their own way of getting their message out. They're happy to let Joe have a puppet show while they're doing other stuff.
Yeah, I think there's probably something to that. There's still the amount of noise that's there, whether it's calculated or not. It's all there, and it can wear on you a little bit. Now, I don't, my only complaint with him as a manager is I thought he'd be a little more creative with his bullpens, but his bullpens have either been hurt or bad. He's a little, what's the word? Not touch tone, but whatever. Automatic shift on these things. And
because there are things like Mike Montgomery does not get lefties out.
No,
why does Joe still use him like he's a lefty specialist? He's not. And that's the kind of stuff that Joe is not supposed to. He's not supposed to do that. He's supposed to be the one who knows this guy's got reverse split. I mean, he always talked about it in Tampa. He had bullpen where he would do that. He had, that's great when I bring up a guy and I can't think of his name, but he had a lefty who couldn't get lefties out and got righties out, and he only used him against righties. So I think that's what we all thought we were getting.
Yeah. So, and the 2016 playoffs, Joe's bullpen usage almost gave me a heart.
Yeah, and we don't need to. That show's been done, but
that show is done every day at 9 a.m. on ESPN 1000.
yes, it is.
But Sam, I would just suggest. Why are you watching the post game?
Oh, I'm not. I don't watch the pre or post game, but it gets on your feeds or whatever.
You can't avoid it.
You can't ignore it. You can't avoid it.
You're one step away from me, so I don't watch the pre or the post or the during part of most Cubs games.
Well, okay, so good.
Yeah.
There's nothing
Right.
Joe does.
Well, if I aspire to be you, I'm on the right track. The only thing is I don't really, but no offense, but
No.
So because you don't watch the games, one of the things you missed today, Mike, was Steve Cishek got taken out during batting practice by a Brandon Kinsler throw that hit him in the shin.
Oh no.
So
yeah,
he
it's good stuff.
they had to put him on a cart and drive him off the field.
Oh.
They diagnosed him with a bruised knee. It's the worst injury the Cubs have had in batting practice since Ken Hubbs died. Damn, I ruined my own joke.
Is he legit okay or?
Was that
Ken
all a
Hubbs?
roundabout
No,
way
Ken
to
Hubbs-
get to Ken Hubbs?
Ken Hubbs is dead. Yes, I went all that way to get to a Ken Hubbs joke that I
You
floated.
go all the way out. and
Wait,
come
who
all
got-
the way.
So Cishek hit Kinsler or the other way?
No,
around?
the other way around.
Kinsler and Cishek were playing catch, and they showed it. They actually had
Yeah, one of them
they
was
had, like the
obviously not
stadium
playing.
cam shot of it, and Kinsler did this weird thing where he it looked like he was pitching, but he was throwing as hard as he could, and he crow hopped towards him, threw it too low. Cishek missed it, hit him in the knee. Cishek was flat on the ground, wouldn't move, looked like he died. They finally got him up, and they had to put him on a Cushman and drive him off the field. And he's day to day with a bruised knee.
So whichever of you guys said that no one in Colorado works, what about that guy that had to drive Cishek off the field?
He was pissed, I'm sure.
He's won.
He's working hard.
He was working. Yeah, he's working hard.
So if you count Cishek, that would have been what, 5 people that got hit today
Yeah.
for those of us who watched the game.
Yeah.
That's how bad the beanball war got.
Good.
It started before the game.
Kyle.
That's how committed the Cubs were to it. They were practicing it before the game.
Segue.
Before Cishek.
I'm going to give you my segue,
All right.
Kyle. I'm putting it over your little head in the lower corner here. Good
I'll
segue.
take this one.
Beanball.
This is my favorite, and again, I come from the land down under. I come from the land of hockey, where stupid shit like this happens on a nightly basis. I don't understand. We know that they weren't throwing at Bryant, but you got to protect your guys. So the theory would be that because Cole Hamels hit Nolan Arenado today to begin with, because Bryant had been hit in the previous game, some pitcher in the future is going to be like, I can't throw inside to Chris Bryant, perennial MVP candidate, because if I do, one of my guys might get hit. And he's going to think about all this on the mound.
Yes.
So that's your theory.
It even goes beyond that. There were people today who said it went back to last year when Bryant got hit in the head in Colorado. So they saved this all up for a year to get their payback today because he got hit twice last night on top of it. It makes no sense at all.
Right. I think Javi's revenge is better. Just
Yes.
hit the ball 450 feet.
And not only hit the ball 450 feet and just stand at home plate for like a minute and a half. He didn't even budge. He just stood there and watched it. Rizzo, who had gotten hit in the ass right before that, is almost home by the time Javi decides to take off for first. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I'm very anxious for the Cubs trip to San Francisco because I feel like a Baez-Bumgarner matchup could start a war, and I'm here for it. Because the Giants already hate Baez. They already hate him. So if he were to homer off Bumgarner, we could really get something there, and I want it.
The Giant hate goes all the way back to 2016
Yes.
with Hunter Strickland.
Yes.
During the regular season, throwing a fit at Javi and he was getting Javi out, and he was mad at him. And then during the rally in Game 4, Javi gets the series-winning hit off of Hunter Strickland.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it wasn't the best moment of that October, but man, was it a good one. Just give it a nice flavor. Anyway, that's my beanball rant. If you guys have more, please, by all means.
Yeah, the beanball setup, in terms of a larger scale play, I don't know why this sticks out so soundly in my memory, but that random Brewers Cardinals NLCS in 2011 or whatever it was, when they had been thrown at each other for the couple series leading up to that, and they go into game 1 of the playoff series at NLCS, and La Russa immediately plunks the first Brewer. So benches get warned, and then that way, if one slips out of the Brewers starter, their starter gets tossed. And that was classic fucking La Russa Cardinals stuff. So
I'm glad that's not around anymore.
So my only beef with as it is with there's a lot of dumb. Not my only beef. I think the throwing at guys is stupid, and whatever, people get hit, and it's meat-headed to throw. Obviously, guys are intentionally getting hit occasionally. that is the dumbest goddamn thing you can do. Like the punishment is stupid. You're putting a guy on base. You don't throw a 95-mile. And if you're going to hit a guy, hit him in the ass, which is still stupid because like you never know what could happen. But my biggest beef is that the level of umpiring through my 40 plus years on this planet has never gotten smarter. And the beanball rules put too much power in the hands of the umps to have common sense. And they've proven time and again that they don't have common sense. And the rule itself, like you just proved the perfect example, Kyle, the rule, quote unquote, makes no sense because like if you're going to say first pitch or first batter, he was intentionally throwing at the guy, then yeah, you literally just completely changed this entire game. Going back to what you're saying, Sam, okay, so we can't throw inside. We have no inside corner now. It's just if the umpires could be trusted with common sense to have it and to use it, then it would be, I think, not as big of a thing. But it's stupid.
I will say the one today, he got it right. He warned both benches, and then when Brach hit somebody, he's like, "No, I would help," but it was like 10-0 at that point.
Yeah,
but like you could see him like no, he just sucks. Like like it's 10-0. What are we getting upset about? Let's just get through this. We've all got a flight to catch.
Yeah,
like he handled it very well. It's like, no, that's a slider. Like
which is the exception to the rule, though.
I got a kick out of Brock's reaction in the post game or whatever it was when they interviewed him. I saw the quote and he said, "Do you really think I'm trying to hit anybody with the way I've been pitching lately?"
Yes.
I know, Dolan. You've been all over the Brad Brach performance train.
Where was Maddon to protect him? Is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well,
during that post
Joe I did hear some of the pregame, and Joe was talking about. Coomer says to him something like, "Well, Brach had kind of a rough outing last night," and Joe's like, "Oh, I thought he threw great." Just a couple. There was that one kind of a seeing eye hit. I'm like, no, they were blasting the ball all over the fucking park. They had the Colorado National Guard was sent to try to protect people with Brad Brach on the mound.
Yeah.
Does anybody want the Brad Brach update?
Please.
So in 26 in the third inning so far this year, 29 hits, 22 walks, 51 base runners in 26 and a third innings. That's a whip of 1.94. But please keep running him out there as often as possible.
I like your Schwarber updates, statistical updates, better than your Brad Brach.
Yeah, those make me feel better than the Brad Brach ones. I don't know that Brad Brach will be around much longer. I just can't. Like he'd have to be the first name on the chopping block.
I mean, doesn't he have to? Obviously, Kinsler. That's who Kinsler was supposed to be playing catch with today.
Right? Yeah. Am I stealing your segue, Kyle, to Craig Kimbrel stuff? Am I?
No,
did I step on it.
I was about to lead right into it. Yeah, I think Brock's at the top of the pecking order to be pushed off the ledge once Kimbrel's ready. And I found it interesting. Not interesting if you followed the way the Cubs have handled injuries the last couple of years, but the way the narrative has shifted with how they're going to ramp up Kimbrel very quickly, June 20th, realistic goal. And then today it comes out that not until July, it's whatever. It's like you hear 10 different days in the span of 1 hour whenever somebody is getting ready to return from injury, or in this case, whatever it may be, free agent signing. I think at the end of the day, it's awesome that he's coming. And I hope they just give a definitive date so we can stop doing this yo-yo on bleachernation.com every morning.
Why are you reading this?
Yeah, that's your own fault.
Yeah, that's on you.
This is a little bit of what I'd mentioned before the show, Kyle. Like what these guys are highly trained athletes that probably haven't taken honestly, to get to that level. I'm sure that all these guys played fall ball, played winter ball, they probably haven't, most of these guys haven't taken more than a couple months off in probably their major league careers is when they were getting the most time off of baseball. And I'm not asking this sarcastically. I'm legitimately asking, what was Harper doing? What was Machado doing? What was Kimbrel doing? What was Keuchel doing? What were these guys doing? And do you work with a trainer? Do you throw simulated games by yourself? Do you pay a guy? And someone tweeted back at me, Dolan, here you go. Someone tweeted back at me. They're like, would you really risk, injuring yourself in a simulated game if you didn't have an employer. I'm like, yeah, that's a good point, but wouldn't you want to keep yourself? I don't know. I was never a pitcher.
Well, apparently Kimbrel lives near some fancy prep school that has a really nice baseball facility, and he was throwing there.
So he was
a lot. He was pitching to some high school kid who I'm sure has now broken his left hand in 15 places.
Right.
And the best story he told was he also was apparently he's got some kind of setup at his house where he can throw. And there was a guy, somebody doing some work on his house, and Craig asked him if he would just stand in while he threw some pitches. And the guy did. And Craig said the next day when he went down to do that, the guy had like propped up some wood in a spot, like, throw to this, not
I don't want to be a part of it.
You terrorized me yesterday. I do not want to do that again.
Well, Kyle, it's too bad that Harper actually ended up getting signed because I heard he was going to be on your 16-inch softball team.
Yep. Can confirm those rumors. We had him signed up to hit.
We had him ready to go.
Falls on the Lakeshore Drive.
Okay, that makes me. And like I'm not criticizing them either way. If they were, I'd be sitting on my ass waiting for someone to come along. I think it's just
an extended off-season training for them. I mean, these guys. All right. Ideally, your season ends at the end of October. They take November and December, part of December off, and then they're working out. They're hitting in a cage or whatever. So I guess they just do that.
Okay. So follow-up question. Who did these guys? I know all these guys all have a lot of money and they're all very wealthy and they could probably do this. Do a lot of these guys do that kind of stuff on their own before spring training starts? Or maybe I'm just naive and just assume that they just go home, hang out, and eat chips, and then show up in April or March.
I also believe that, and maybe someone's heard different, but like Arizona's stadium, the used to be the Bob Chase Field now, right?
Yeah.
Is actually very busy during the winter because everyone lives around Arizona. So they just like kind of keep their facilities open. And a lot of people just go and use that.
Road trip next offseason.
Right. But like now these guys all live by the spring training facility, right? So I guess they just go there. I don't know. But they do something. I think when Kimbrel will find out how long spring training should actually be. Because I know spring training does not need to be 6 weeks long.
Sure. Here's another thing, though. Like baseball is obviously, well, unless you're Kinsler and Cishek, like someone to throw and catch a ball, and like it's not like there's not a whole lot of baseball related activities that you can do by yourself, and so like if I'm Baez and I'm one of the best players in baseball and it's the off season. Is he like calling up Cole Hamels and being like, "Hey, you want to throw some BP to me?"
Well, he's got a pitching machine somewhere, right?
Sure.
I mean, whether at his house or some local facility. So there's that.
Well, I mean, apparently you guys do not subscribe to the Cubs YouTube channel because if you did,
or the Athletic,
you would know what they do because they did these off-season things. So we know that Wilson Contreras rides horses with Victor Martinez. That's what he does. Okay. We know that John Lester goes hunting by himself for hours a day. And what did Pedro? I forget what Pedro Strop did. I think he sat around and drank with guys. Right?
Yeah,
it seems like what you ought to do, and what Pedro had the most fun. So
put it all on his Instagram story while he was doing it.
I think Pedro has the most fun, regardless of what we're talking about. Whatever time frame, whatever activity, Pedro's ahead of the game in most ways.
Sorry. This also might go back to our conversation from whatever time ago that like these guys are the level of these athletes versus the level that I ever accomplished in my athletic career. Like I definitely would have taken advantage of spring training and needed all that stuff. These guys are really superhuman to an extent. And like, so maybe they just like, they don't need that. They know it's like falling off a bike for them, especially if you're Jeff Kent.
Yes.
Or a pickup truck.
He was washing his
pickup truck. I know.
Right.
Remember that. He was washing his truck. Just like Moises Alou fell off a treadmill. He didn't blow out his knee playing basketball. He fell off a treadmill.
Drunk.
Yeah, so maybe that's what it is. Maybe I can't even fathom. It's like trying to imagine the infinite nature of the universe. I can't understand how these guys can just be like, I'm ready. It's been a couple.
I've often compared those two things.
Well, yes, indeed. Also, all Kimbrel has to ramp up to is to come out and throw like 20 pitches.
That's true. What a pussy.
Now I know like he throws them at an exceptional high velocity rate, with a really snappy curveball, but like he's not prepping to like go 7 innings. Like he's got to get his arm ready to throw 60 pitches a week.
Okay, but if I gave you 3 weeks to get prepared just to bend over as far as Kimbrel does before every pitch, do you think you could do it?
I could do the bend over part. Yeah.
Couldn't get back up.
I could bend over. The third time of the week, I don't know that I could get back up, but I certainly can't do any of the other things like that involve throwing. But I could do the bend over part, I think. And I have back problems, but if I thought Cubs fans were more creative, they would do something with the way he sets up, because I think it's really cool. There's something like Flight of the Valkyries or something. I remember when Phillies fans would all get behind home plate and do it back at him. But I don't trust Cubs fans' creativity. So
they're all too busy waiting to field line drives into the stands. So
right, that's clearly what they're. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna issue this challenge. Then we have a week till the next podcast, give or take. Sam, I want you to
I'll think about it
in the next week. I want you to get out there.
No, you said you gave me 3 weeks to prepare to do that. It's a month.
Agreed. And so I'm going to give you. Okay, no, but you have to start ramping yourself up. So 60 Craig Kimbrel, not even deliveries, pre-delivery motions.
Poses.
We'll see how you feel next week.
Okay.
So Kimbrel has picked a different intro song in each of the 3 cities he's pitched in. He started with Welcome to the Jungle in Atlanta, and I don't remember that. So what should he pick for the Cubs? I think the natural one would be Alive by Juliana Zolfest.
Well, we know it's open now.
Yes.
Don't even joke about that. That's not funny.
Well, no.
What did he use in Boston? Do we know what he used in Boston?
No.
Probably something
would have made the segment better if I actually looked this.
Yes, if you'd actually done your research.
I just know it wasn't Welcome to the Jungle.
I was just
so excited about his.
Thank God it wasn't Dirty Water.
Right. They use that. You can't, because that's what they play when they win. You can't use Pearl Jam.
What? Why?
Because everyone else uses goddamn Pearl Jam.
God.
And he has to pick something like that's not like it's got to be like not a B-side, but it can't be like track 1 off whatever album it's off of.
Oh, he went the Nuge. It was Stranglehold. Ted Nugent. That's what he used in Boston.
Yeah, that's okay. As far as songs go, not songwriter.
Yeah, that's a good opening riff.
Yeah, the Hawks use that. They've been using that. They never change anything there. Okay, he has to use "Youth Gone Wild" there by Skid Row. Or 18 in Life. I don't know why. Maybe he should use 18 in Life.
I don't know.
Did we run out of steam? Is that it? Is that what happens? We all kind of just stare at each other?
That's exactly what happens.
How about Smashing Pumpkins? We could Smashing Pumpkins intro would be not bad.
We really want to encourage.
I don't think we need to give Billy Corrigan any more encouragement to be Billy Corrigan.
God damn. I am disliking the direction of this podcast.
Hey, I am as big a fan as you will find of Smashing Pumpkins' first 2 albums. I told Billy Corrigan that once. But after that, I don't. He's a little too Billy Corrigan these days.
I feel like you bald guys all have each other. Shouldn't you love Moby and Dale Swaim and Billy?
No, we're all at odds with each other. There isn't
Moby and Dale Swaim.
The only bald guy I get along with is Maynard James Keenan, and that's about it. So,
but I could get some early Smashing Pumpkins.
If he goes early Smashing Pumpkins, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Let me amend my statement. If he goes, anything Melancholy or after, I'm out of here. No,
there's plenty of openings and Melancholy that would be. Plenty.
Gish is all walk up music.
Yeah.
And speaking of old, that album's like 35 years old.
Someone tweet this at our boy and Kimbrel and see if he
he's our boy.
Yeah.
He's now our boy.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna bend over like him 60 times a week.
Yeah, so we picked his walk-up music, we figured out his off-season regimen, and now we have Sam's gonna be the next Kimbrel.
Ready to go. It's tougher on the shoulders, actually, than it is on the back.
You've already hurt yourself.
No, I was just noticing. Like, that's
right now.
That's the part you have to loosen up that you wouldn't think about is the shoulders, not the back.
Very true. Did we get to 4 topics?
We did. We've exhausted them.
We've exhausted them. That's all we can do.
The audience. We've exhausted the topics and the audience.
Now, do you end with the way you beginning? It just cuts off like a Bernenko piece on Deadspin. This vlog is over, and
Usually one of us
give it the old Forrest Gump. That's all we got to say about that, and it ends.
Okay, I like it.
Well, very heavily produced.
Well-oiled machine.
Oh, we did, Mike. We forgot to do something.
Introduce ourselves other than Sam. I feel like people know who we are.
No, not that. The thing we talked about right before we went on that we were going to do during the first break, but we didn't really take a break.
Well, I kind of advertised myself. I have to look up the moral rule or the ethical rules of legal procedure before I start plugging my.
That's a thing?
Yeah, we have all sorts of advertising ethics. You know what? Screw it. If anyone needs any, if you're still listening at this point, you clearly need to buy or sell a home. So just go ahead and reach out to. I'm going to start being better about marketing myself. Does anyone know I'm a real estate lawyer? Tweet at.
They do now.
Yeah, exactly. Tweet at me if you need it. I'm transactional law, transactional real estate law, leases, transactions, all kinds of stuff. And I'm not Richard fucking Ankin or whatever his name is.
He doesn't even know how to hold a bat.
Hey, yes, that guy's. I'm never going to be next to Javi Baez.
Or Wilson Contreras in some of the more uncomfortable reads.
Yes.
And it's not, it really has nothing to do with Wilson Contreras. It's just like, this has nothing to do with anything. Why did you need Wilson Contreras for this? I don't understand. Like anything that's shot by the local cable company, I don't.
He wanted to show how successful he was that he could.
It's always car salesmen and lawyers who feel like they have to be in their own ads. Like that's not going to make me want to give you my business. Like
except
seeing
for
Howard Aiken up there with his dorky ass face. Like no.
Except for me, because I'm very charming. So
yes, clearly
you and Peter Francis Jury.
Your wherewithal just drips through the screen.
Thank you so much. I forgive you now for your Maddon comments.
Fair enough. I always can find my way out of a jam.
All right, the end.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Good job, guys.
And cut and scene.
We'll be even better next week.
Nope.
Nope.
Probably not.
Disagree.